Okay. All right, now to begin, thank you guys so much for coming. This is OLLI's Brown Bag Lunch, free online presentations. Oh. We acknowledge that Cal Poly Humboldt is located on the unceded lands of the Wiyot people. Arcata is known as Gudini, meaning over in the woods or among the redwoods. We honor them and all neighboring tribes by our ongoing commitment and to developing trusting, reciprocal, and long-lasting partnerships. So OLLI stands for Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, which was founded based on the principles that learning should never end. And OLLI creates opportunities for academic engagement, civil involvement, personal growth, and fun for adults 50 and better. Our brown bag lunch presentations are just one of the ways that we work to provide services through OLLI that can help impact and bring our community members together. OLLI is a membership-based program for lifelong learners aged 50 and better. OLLI hosts one-time or series classes that we call field trips that include topics in history, science, music, technology, art, and exciting field trips to local businesses and outdoor activities and more. This top image is actually a photo that Julie Stewart, I believe, took on our tide pooling class earlier this summer. That was very, very fun. For all those who aren't aware, our membership costs $35 annually. However, if you are a current or retired staff or faculty member, your membership would just be for $25. Our memberships extend from July 1st to June 30th and must be renewed every year to stay active. And while OLLI is a membership-based program for age 50 and better, we do have our classes open to everyone over 18, except that non-members do have to pay an extra $25 for their classes. Our OLLI membership benefits include lower class fees and first priority registration, a Cal Poly Humboldt email account, including access to full professional version of Zoom. So if you wanted to come to these OLLI brown bags, it would make it really accessible. You get a discount on the Jack Pass for our local transit system. You get an eligibility for course scholarships, student discounts at local businesses, participating in OLLI special interest groups. You also get access to the Cal Poly Humboldt Library with a student ID card. You also get access to our gym and recreation center with a fee. And we also do invitations and reminders for OLLI events like this brown bag lunch or the open houses, which we will have an open house late soon. When do you know?
September 6th, Saturday, September 6th at the Great Hall.
Thank you, September 6th. All right, if you wanted to find out any more information about OLLI, you can go to our website, humboldt.edu/OLLI. And like you can see here, our website, our website has 3 of these purple squares, and you could click on this third one, subscribe to the OLLI newsletter to, stay ahead of all of our deadlines and announcements for classes. You just have to enter your name and email address, and you'll
And it
see.
comes out once a week, and they do a great job of letting you know what's coming.
Yes, I believe it says receive weekly updates every Monday morning. So I believe that would be a good way to look that up. With our brown bag lunch presentations, this is a reoccurring meeting that we have. It's a free weekly chat on Zoom on Mondays from 12 to 1:30, facilitated by Jane Woodward, a longtime OLLI member and curriculum committee member, who herself is very well versed in OLLI. I'd almost want her to speak on herself. Jane, if you had to explain your relationship to OLLI, what would you say?
Well, creative, fun, interesting, meeting tons of interesting people, having a great time putting together the presentations for our community.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without her, so we just want to say thank you. All right, and like I said, we are recording this Zoom session, and you can find all of our OLLI brown bags at our YouTube site, www.youtube.com/@OLLI Humboldt. All right. And then we also have Let's Connect. It's just another Zoom chat that we have on Fridays from 10 to 11. These weekly sessions, which began early in the pandemic as a response to the isolation brought on by COVID-19, we still continue them, and they've become regular gatherings for friendly people. This is facilitated by Tracy Barnes Priestley, And this hour of conversation focuses on a new topic each week. It is time for us to share meaningful stories, thought-provoking experiences, and often plenty of laughter. And if you have any interest in that, you can email us at ollie@humboldt.edu. Okay, and then that is the end of my intro to Ollie Brownback, and I'm gonna hand this presentation off to Jane and Sam. All right.
Welcome all. We're delighted to see you. It's a gorgeous sunny day, so I appreciate your coming inside to do this. But it will be a wonderful presentation because Samantha is a wonderful presenter and is one of these people who is invaluable to our community. She's the Director of Social Services at Humboldt Senior Resource Center, where she oversees the Multipurpose Senior Services Program, MSSP, the Adult Daily Health and Alzheimer's Services, and the HSRC Behavioral Health. She holds a doctorate of social work with an emphasis in social change and innovation through the University of California. Her research focused on ways to reduce older adult social isolation, this is one, for example, and promote healthy aging through evidence-based and culturally responsive strategies. She holds a Master of Social Work from HSU and is a licensed clinical social worker with over 15 years of behavioral health direct practice, training, evidence-based programming, and consultation experience. She's a lifelong resident of Humboldt County and enjoys cooking, traveling, and performing with her husband in the local cover band, Blue Rhythm Review. When do you speak next? When do you play next, Samantha?
On the 23rd of this month at Fieldbrook Winery, and then we're doing a CR Botanical Gardens on the 24th, and then Trinidad Art Night on the 30th.
You should post it somewhere where people can
We have a
find it.
website and we have Facebook and Instagram.
What is it, under Blue Rhythm Review?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
REVUE, bluerhythmreview.com.
Thank you. Well,
Thank
all
you.
yours now.
Okay.
Maybe you
Wow,
can play for us one of these days.
Maybe. It's weird to hear people read a bio about you. And I'm like, oh, I'm not a very easily embarrassed person, but I guess that's embarrassing.
It shouldn't be. It's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And so the way I like to present is that I like to let people ask questions when they have them. Personally, for me, if I can't get my question asked right when I have it, it'll just pop right out of my head. And I don't like that to happen to anybody else. So if there's a question that you have at any time, feel free to unmute and ask it out or type it in the chat. Or if you're a person who likes to wait until the end, that is also fine with me. But today, we're going to talk about the concept of aging with intention. And in my experience, talking to people my whole life who have been on a later aging trajectory than I am, I've heard that sometimes people feel like things are happening to them. And as time goes by and as we get older, it seems like we have less control over our body changes, our mind changes, things like that. But there is a level of intention that we can have if we just flip a few things. We can have some more choice, some more agency while we age. And so that's kind of the whole concept of today, and the science and spirit of staying connected. As you heard Jane describe, social connection and reducing isolation is probably one of my things that I'm most passionate about. So that's what the concept is today. And we're going to talk about the power and connection and purpose, and maybe a few other things, like you'll hear the words meaning, belonging, things like that all kind of go together. And we're going to talk about a lifespan perspective. While this is about older adults, I am going to go around a few ages and age brackets where we can influence connection and kind of give that idea to the next generation, because all of us, no matter what age we are, we're interacting with people in our lives that we love and we care about. And there's ways to foster and promote connection at every kind of critical window throughout our lives. And then my biggest piece is I like to leave a presentation or an interaction kind of like this with something I can actually do to work toward improving my life. And hopefully I will leave you with that today. So I like to interact with you all, and I have some ideas about what it means to age with intention. And that's kind of focusing on living our lives with awareness of what we like, who we are, what we want, choice, being able to choose when we can. Obviously, a lot of people don't have as many choices as we'd like, and then care with those that we love. And it's tuning into what matters most for us and the people around us, like connection, purpose, and joy. But I want to know what it might mean to you just off the top of your head. What would it mean to you to age with intention? Anybody who has an idea. It's okay. You don't have to be shy.
Making choices of
Okay.
the things you want to do, that people you want to interact with, the purpose of your life, all kinds of things of that nature.
I
And
love
what
it.
brings you joy? Bottom line, what brings you joy?
Joy is a perfect word. I love that, Jane. Thank you for being the first one. Does anybody else have anything that comes to mind when you're thinking about aging with intention versus aging?
I would say, if I can interrupt, that the notions of meaning and purpose are very central to life. And in all cases, they need to be how we, in a sense, direct our lives. And as we get older, meaning and purpose changes.
Yes.
When my wife died, my whole role as a caregiver was suddenly gone. And so, what new directions? Anyway, so that's one thought.
Rick, that's spectacular. I really appreciate you sharing that. Tammy, it looked like you wanted to say something.
I would say control.
Ooh, tell me more.
You have aging with intention means that you still have control over
Yes.
what happens in your life instead of somebody always making choices for you.
Excellent. I love that. And I like that you say the word control. A lot of times people feel weird saying the word control because it's so loaded with other things, but control means agency, what we want to do. And control isn't a bad thing when we get to do what we want. Oh, Mark, I think you're putting in the chat said avoid loneliness. That is my intention too. Definitely. Wonderful. Okay, great.
It's particularly an issue when you lose a spouse or a partner, a companion, old
Yep.
friends. And it's like, okay, who am I going to share things with? When you get up in the morning and at the end of the day, hey, what went well? You end
Hmm.
up getting on the phone if you don't with friends, if you don't
Right.
have someone in the household.
Well, and all of you are mentioning, especially Rick, when you outlined how, oh, wait, we have this one way of being for quite a long time in our lives. And especially in the United States, a lot of times it's linked to our job or school. And we have our identity and our purpose a lot of times wrapped up in things like that. And then when we retire or when a relationship ends, we're like, wait, I don't know who to be now, or I haven't even thought about being something else because I've been this for so long. So kind of reframing that idea of that we don't know what to do, but saying, oh, we have a new choice. We have an ability to add something or maybe be myself in a way that I didn't know how to before. Great.
One
So,
thing I'd like to bring up,
yeah, go ahead, John.
uh, when my wife died about 9 years ago, I met a person the year before she died and became very close with her. She was much younger than I, and it was not any type of sexual relationship. It was just a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And we traveled um, a lot for about 7 years. And then when we lived in Oklahoma, and we decided to move to Eureka because it was the weather and kinder politics, and we love it here. But she got me interested in the senior center in Eureka. I thought when I said, I said to myself, well, that's not going to be anything. Well, it was. I go there twice a week, play
Do you
cribbage
go for the
one.
food
Well, I
or?
do go on Wednesdays. I do the food, and then on Wednesdays and Fridays. On Wednesday I play cribbage, and on Fridays I play fast track. But I thoroughly that type of interest keeps me going. And then I go to the gym twice a week, and then I walk.
Excellent.
And I just I find my life is, for as old as I am, I find it quite good.
Wonderful, John. I mean, I'm finding your life wonderful. I'm thinking, man, I should do what John's doing.
Now you're doing work.
Don't want to work.
Sure you do.
I do. You're right. Okay. Thank you all. That was such a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate it. I think that you all know this, but I'm still going to go over it. This is a very wise crowd. Connection matters more than our general public would like to admit, I feel. And we don't emphasize it enough, in my opinion. We emphasize really kind of maybe modular family relationships at the most. We emphasize a romantic relationship, but connection is more than that. You can connect to community, each other, and that kind of thing that John was talking about even those intergenerational relationships. One of my best and closest friends, for since I was 20 years old and I'm 38, we're in completely different generations. He's 40 years older than I am, 35 years older than I am. And so the power of intergenerational connections and just connection in general is essential for a thriving life. But a lot of times we're kind of pushed into thinking that they're extras. Oh, it's good to have this. It's good to have this community, but we don't need it to live. We need it to live a life that we love, and we need it to thrive. So they're not just extras, and helping people around you think that connection and community and support isn't just an extra, it's actually a human need like anything else, like water, like air, our ability to breathe, things like that. So if you can start thinking about it like that, or help other people around you think about it like that, it would really help all of us. Let's see. So I'm going to use some of these words, and I put the definitions up here that I like to use so we can make sure we're all on the same page. The biggest are that sometimes people intermingle social isolation and loneliness. They are very related, but I like to think of them as two sides of the same coin. So social isolation is our experience of the objective lack of the desired quality, the objective lack of social interactions. So we can say, okay, how many social interactions did I have today? I saw a bunch of people at work. I saw people at the grocery store. I saw my husband, all these things. We can quantify it. But the loneliness is our experience, and that's what we can target. So say I'm a person who doesn't have as many social interactions that I want, or I don't like the quality of them, right? So somebody can be like, I'm seeing a bunch of people out, but none of these relationships are actually meaningful to me. So that loneliness piece, it's really confusing for a lot of people when they have a lot of people around them, but they still feel lonely. So that's something that we need to also acknowledge, is that it's not just about the quantity, it could be about the quality. And there's somebody in my life that while I was going through school, talking to me about this, maybe reading my papers, listening to my concepts, and they were thinking, oh no, I don't interact with a lot of people. Is this gonna ruin my life? Maybe I should interact with more people. And so they started calling people and hanging out and kind of changing themselves a little bit as a person. And I said, wow, this is different for you. And they said, well, all your papers and all your research told me that if I was socially isolated, I'd have health problems, and I don't want to die sooner than I should. And I thought, oh my God, you're listening to me, and it's so cute. But the big piece right there was that before you made these changes, were you satisfied with the quality of those relationships that you had? And they told me, oh, well, yeah, really satisfied. And I said, okay, that's the secret sauce. It doesn't matter if you have 10 or 2, if the quality and the importance of them to you is what you want, that's the big piece. And so they were like, phew, this was hard being a different person, calling up and trying to be social and not be myself. So I just don't want people to think that they have to completely change who they are to find connection in a way that matters to them. And that's just one of my favorite stories, because I thought it was so cute that they said, hey, I really want to have all these wonderful benefits and outcomes that come along with connection, but you got to do it in a way that matches you. And that is also linked to purpose and our feeling that our life has goals and value. And I forget who was saying it, but somebody who talked before was talking about how purpose and meaning can change throughout life, right? Maybe if we're having a family and our purpose and meaning was to be that parent for so long. And then when our kids might be gone and we don't have that role as actively anymore, we're thinking, what's my purpose? What is my meaning now? This was something that was so central to me. My mom, she told me that she always wanted to be a mother, and being the mom was the best thing ever. And so when we were adults and we didn't need her as much, although I definitely need my mom. She's going to watch this video later. Hi, Mom, I love you. She had to think, what else is meaningful to me, because this was such a big part of my life. And then my sister had some kids, and so she's like, yes, grandma. And that's what she likes. She knows what's important to her. Her connection to family, extended family, that's the thing that gets her through life. That's the thing that makes her feel like herself. And I'm kind of like that too. And then we might have heard resilience. This word kind of gets a bad rap, especially for people who have gone through tons of, for lack of a better term, crappy stuff in their life. And we kind of harp on resilience a little bit, like, you're resilient, you can get through it. But sometimes we don't want to keep having to go through all that stuff. But it just means the ability to adapt and recover in the face of adversity. And connection, purpose, and meaning help improve that for people. So I think some of you, since it seems like a lot of you here that have spoken up so far actually know a bit about social connection and the health benefits. The evidence is really staggering. When we have reduced loneliness and reduced social isolation, there are benefits that are more than just our emotional well-being. It literally can improve our physical health. It can reduce stress. It lowers inflammation in your body, which can exacerbate or add to a lot of medical or physical issues. And it supports our healthier behaviors overall. The staggering statistic, I don't know if it's quite changed yet, probably not, but social connection, when you are socially connected, you have all these reduced health risks. And if you're socially isolated, it's considered as lethal as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I've said it every time, everywhere I'm at, but I think that that's the best way to illustrate what loneliness does to you. It can literally increase your mortality, so make you die sooner than you want to. It can increase your risk of all these heart problems, diabetes, things like that, things that will reduce our mortality. So it's more of a big deal than people think, the general public. But if anybody's ever felt lonely, we know how it makes us feel physically. We don't want to get out of bed. We might have less feeling like anything matters. So it can contribute to your mental health, kind of taking a nosedive. But when we get that quality or quantity of connections that we were wanting, we are, oh, I changed my screen. Where am I at? Oops. My screen went crazy. Sorry, everybody. Can you all still see my
Yeah, it
PowerPoint?
still says, what does the evidence say?
I can't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Apparently I don't know how to use Zoom. So when we have our increased social connection and the way that works for us individually, I am a very social butterfly. I like to have a ton of connections. So during COVID was the only time I've ever had a depressive episode in my life. And I feel okay admitting that. It was really hard for me to say out loud to people, but I have never been depressed like that in my entire life. My band wasn't playing. We weren't doing all these things that I took for granted that made me feel like me. Even seeing my favorite checkers at my local neighborhood Murphy's, I was crying because I didn't see those people. So that's how bad it literally gets. It can make somebody who's never had depression before in their life feel like, oh, my life is over. You know, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but that's kind of how it felt. Oh my gosh, if this never changes, I'm going to feel like my life has zero meaning, zero purpose, and what's the point? So also cognitively, not just our emotional and our physical health, when we have these increased connections, our cognitive health is better for longer. We're going to be more likely to have our brain functioning the way that we want, because having these varied and wonderful connections gives us more tools. It keeps our brain plastic. And I don't mean plastic like my bottle, but I mean plastic like its ability to be flexible and learn new things and grow even as we age. Okay. Let's see. Are you working? I don't think this is working for me. I'm going to stop sharing and share over again just so I can get it to the right place.
And while we wait for Samantha to do that, I just wanted to highlight Debbie Hartridge's comment. Connecting
Okay.
becomes harder when health issues limit a person's options.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So Debbie, do you want to say any more about that, or did you just want to bring it up to the group? Did you have anything else to say about that? Okay, I'm looking for you on there. I'm guessing that we're going to get to this. This is a barrier, especially for people as they age, or especially for people who've had long-term health issues. Health issues and mobility issues are some of the biggest barriers for people as we age to maintaining connections the way that we want. And you are correct. And I'll get into some more ability about how we can combat that in a little bit. Okay. Let's see. So who here, and you can maybe, if you know how to do it, there's like, you can use little reaction buttons on your screen, like a raise my hand, or you can just put yes in the slideshow. Who here interacts with children or infants on a regular basis? Anybody? Okay, well, if you do, or if you have people in your life who interact with kids, or if you're thinking, hey, I want something new to do, and maybe I want to volunteer in a classroom or something like that. Oh, you can see that. Thanks. Stop. My thing is just not working right at all. I appreciate you dealing with all my technical difficulties. Okay. There we go. How does that look? Can you see the whole screen, everybody? You can just see my slide?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you ever think about doing some kind of volunteering where you might like go read in a classroom, or if you're ever interacting with kids, we know that there are windows throughout our life that are really critical. And Judah saying, I interact with my grandson who is autistic. Wonderful. That's spectacular. Infancy to childhood, there's so many things that are happening with our explosion of our brain and our development and our mobility. This is a huge time when we foster attachment and connection. We're getting our earliest social engagement. And a lot of times it's happening with the caregivers, the primary caregivers, and that can mean the person who gave birth to them, the people who raised them, the people who might help raise them in like a daycare. So anybody who's interacting, we have the chance to show, hey, it's important to maintain social connections because it makes you healthier, happier, and developing that community keeps you safe and loved. And when we're children, I remember feeling like I was that kid that ran around going, see what I can do, see what I can do, you know? And we start to learn, what am I good at? And we get recognition, value, and start to develop our roles and our identity. So we learn what people think about us. And it's really important that we focus on not just what the outcome is, but how we get there. Like, I love the way that you are nice to people. Let's just not focus on what we can achieve, because then we only think that our value is tied to what we can do for other people, not how we make other people feel, not how we just are as a human. So if you're interacting with younger kids, well, anybody, but younger kids a lot, you need to really think about, hey, what do I want them to know about themselves that's not just tied to what they can achieve or do for me? And let's see, somebody's writing in. A physician I know has said that he has been concerned about the isolation of her older patients after a spouse died or after their mobility became limited. Yeah, that's a big time for people. I used to be a funeral director when I was younger, And the amount of people I saw pass away after their spouse or their long-term partner died, even if there was no illness that should have killed them, was staggering, because it's literally like dying of a broken heart, and there's no reason for them anymore. That was their reason, that was their person, that was their strong social connection. And there was some people where it was thinking, if they could have gotten more connections that would have made them feel like they still had meaning, purpose, and things like that, would it have been different? Probably. And there's lots of things, like I think it was John was saying he didn't really think that the senior center was going to be anything for him. And yeah, I work there, so I know this is like advertising. It's great for who it's great for. If that's not your scene to come to a big congregate dining, sure, don't do it if it's not your scene. But having those kind of community events, the senior center in McKinleyville, they do a ton of amazing things. Even going to the library. There's all kinds of groups that meet in Humboldt just to interact, like walking groups, if you have the ability to walk, things like that. But there are tons of people who are isolated in Humboldt County, not just because of changes in health and mobility, but think about Humboldt in general, how it's set up. We're already isolated from each other just by way of, like, what if we lived in Southern Humboldt? We're geographically spread out here, so we're already up against isolation just from where we might live. Like if somebody lives in Southern Humboldt or Eastern Humboldt, they're way away from most of the hubs of things that might get them connected. So we have to think about, how can we combat that as well? And let's see. Anybody interact with adolescents or remember their adolescence fondly? I had somebody tell me in their 70s recently that they feel like they're having their second adolescence and they've never been happier. And I was like, ooh, I don't want to go through adolescence again, but I'm glad for you that you're feeling happy about that. Jude, did you want to say something, or are you agreeing? Let's see. If you wanted to talk, you can unmute, Jude, but I'm just seeing your little hands going. I think you're agreeing. But adolescence, when there's a huge amount of evidence and programs where there are like people in a different generation, usually like an older adult generation, and teenagers interacting together, and the wisdom that is passed even back and forth, not just from an older person to an adolescent, but from the adolescent to the older person as well, is outstanding. And McKinleyville Senior Center right now, Scott Bender, he's the executive director. They've been having some tween and teenage students come over and do a ton of interaction around tech with people who are wanting to learn how to use tech. And the families of those children report how much their behavior has even improved in their eyes, the way that they interact with their own parents, the way that they interact with other adults, other older adults, and that their interests have actually improved. And that they were like, oh, I didn't realize that I could have something in common with somebody so much older than I was. So the idea that we can have connection, one, at any age, with any age. I think I wasn't raised, my family, my immediate family was like that. They taught me that I could and should be friends and friendly with people of all ages because it would benefit my life. But I don't recall societally ever having that kind of pushed on me. Did anybody grow up with that, or recall that we should be interacting with other people that are not in our age group? Like I, as a child, should be interacting with older people because I can get wisdom from them.
I think we did it within the family. In other
Right.
words, we got together with our grandparents and played bridge. She taught me how to knit. I mean, we
Mhm.
exchanged ideas, but basically did a lot of family interaction. And then the family, my parents got together with other parents to play
Mhm.
poker, or, do things like that. And
Well,
so we got exposed to that in that way.
right. And I think that honestly, the current generation of older adults and past generations of older adults, I feel like that's something that they were luckier to have than recent generations, was that the idea of intergenerational connectedness and intergenerational families was more present than I believe it is now societally. Yeah, there's pockets of families and pockets of cultures where it's really important. But as a society, we kind of get pushed to thinking more individualistically or more about maybe even just the nuclear family, but we don't get taught to think outside. And when I was an adolescent, all the people, all different ages lived in my house. We had my grandma, we had my cousins, we had everybody my whole life. So that's what I was taught. And I honestly think if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't have ended up doing this work. I wouldn't have ended up wanting to work at Humboldt Senior Resource Center. The only reason I knew about it is because my grandma was in one of the programs when I was a teenager and I helped caregive. And so at that point, during adolescence, we have plastic brains that are exploding during adolescence, and we're learning more about our identity. We're learning about our belonging, who we want to be, our roles, and the experiences have long-term impact. I'm one of those people who can tell you about it because when I was an adolescent, I learned the importance of interacting with everybody and what it did for me. You can be selfish and think, oh, this actually made me smarter. It made me kinder. It made me more patient. It made me like myself better. And I don't know if you've interacted with any adolescents lately, but whew, some of them don't seem to like themselves or like other people. So maybe they'll get more patient if we start connecting with them.
I think we had community vehicles like church,
Oh, that's cool.
and we had there were groups that went golfing, there were groups that played tennis, there were
Uh-huh.
groups that just got together to go swimming, to go skating. I mean, that made a huge difference to
Right.
have those. We went to camp.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, there's camps now, but then there's all these barriers to participation. Everything costs money. It's not a big community. Honestly, I don't even know my neighbors sometimes. So we went from a society that had more of that community feel to one that's kind of like stay to yourself. And especially with COVID, before COVID, uh, it was something like almost 50 million people 60 and older reported feeling lonely or socially isolated on a regular basis. And that is a huge amount of people. And it just skyrocketed during COVID because we all had to be in our own homes. And it worsened and worsened. And the public health crisis, which is what it is, a social isolation is a public health crisis, especially of older adults. It came more to the forefront. Now I feel like it's trying to hide again, but we're not going to let it hide. This is my slide. This is where I'm firmly at. I am right in between. I'm almost into middle adulthood, y'all, and I'm really excited about it. But right here, people often think about a midlife crisis. Did anybody feel like they had a midlife crisis? Anybody that has been in midlife or past it? Anybody feel like they had that? I want to encourage you today to turn it into what we'd call a midlife calling. If you feel like you're at this point where you might have a midlife crisis, we're going to try to start calling it a midlife calling because in the 40s and 50s in our society, a lot of times is where people who have had kids, their kids are old enough to maybe care for themselves more. They're differentiating from their family. Maybe you've been in a career for a long time and you're kind of over it and you're thinking, what am I doing with my life? Is this even really what I want? So you can take this opportunity to explore at this time, obviously earlier as well, but explore at this time things that make you feel like yourself. Am I doing what I really want to be doing? Not everybody has the luxury, and yes, it's a luxury of being able to stop what they're doing, say a job that they hate because they need money to live. But if we can say, hey, this isn't the only thing that makes me me. I have to do this because I need the money, I need to live, I need to continue to pay my bills. Let's think, what kind of purpose do we want outside of work? What's going to make us feel like ourselves? And a lot of times it's making a new friend, doing a new hobby. I don't know about you. I don't want to create new hobbies. It seems like a lot of work. And making a friend is something I'd prefer to do. And has anybody ever ridden a tandem bike? I just had to put this picture on here because it just made me laugh. And There's some people around my neighborhood who ride a tandem bike. You have Patricia Ann? Okay. Wow. That
And
seems
and I'm the only one, a drawing, you can put a woman in front. You never see a woman in front except me. So yeah, we've seen a lot of tandems, or tanda, as we say for the plural. But
Oh.
anyway, we're in a car now, but we have been on a bike. We were on one last weekend, and it's me and
So this is for you. I knew I put it on there for some reason. This is you on there. I love it. Okay. So I have met hundreds of people in the current generation of older adults, people who we'd consider an older adult would be like 16 older, but that's just the federal designation. So in my last 7 years working here at Humboldt Senior Resource Center, one of the biggest things I've seen just anecdotally talking to people is while they internally want connection, they have felt like the outside world, whether it's people in their lives, whether it's society at large, have been kind of giving them the message that connection doesn't really matter for them and that they're just going to die anyway, so why try? And I know that sounds really gnarly, but that's the message a lot of people are getting. And so it does still matter. It matters even more strongly because, like we said at the beginning, it's a key predictor of health and longevity. So it's a key predictor of living as well as possible, and it maintains your belonging and identity. And so when you have that connection, if you need to search for a new meaning, you have that foundational support to say, okay, I can do this. I can find a new role. I can see if there are new things that make me feel like me, because you have that close support and that connection from a community, from even a case manager, a worker. Some people get the best support that they've ever had from somebody at like a senior center, right? And we kind of get told that that shouldn't be something that we try to go for. We should be able to do it all ourselves. And I want you to rewind and remember that the reason why I can do all the things I can do is because of all the support I have. If I didn't have my husband, my mom, my sister, all these people helping fill the voids that I can't do by myself, I wouldn't be able to do any of it. So people, when you see, oh, they do so much, I 100% guarantee that they have a huge community and they have a ton of social support, or they have a ton of money, but just going to put that out there. Purpose doesn't retire. I thought I was silly putting that. But has anybody ever seen those commercials or movies? When I was growing up, every advertisement or movie that featured an older person was featuring them in one of two archetypes. It was either the I've fallen and I can't get up commercials where they're saying this is why I need this, and that you're going to age and have mobility changes and that you're going to need all this help and kind of return to infancy, or the other extreme where they're I'm going to retire, I'm a rich older adult and I'm going to play golf forever and be with my grandkids and be super healthy. I saw that or that, and neither of them felt like a reality to me. And while there are people who do end up needing lots of care, that's about 10 to 11% of older adults who actually meet that level of needing skilled nursing or like a home that they need to live in with medical care. Almost the rest, so what is that? Almost 80% of older adults, or almost 89% of older adults actually don't fit into that category. They fit into a middle category of, hey, we're all different people. We have all different needs, and it's not a one size fits all approach. So volunteering is one of the biggest things that helps people across the lifespan develop meaning and purpose. And that can be volunteering to work at a food bank, volunteering at the senior center, volunteering at your church, in your neighborhood. There's a neighborhood cleanup, and it helps people start new meaning making. Has anybody volunteered in here before? This seems like a volunteer crew.
I certainly have. I'm
Can you
Jen.
tell me about it?
Yeah. One of the things about what you're talking about is I live alone.
Mm-hmm.
I have no family in this country at all and haven't. So I've been particularly conscious of needing to do whatever I need to do, because
Mhm.
and it better be friends or it better be whatever I do. But I've volunteered a great deal. However, the older I get, and I'm at 84 now, once the physical stuff goes away, a whole range of those volunteer activities are in fact not open to me anymore because I
Yep.
can't do them. I can't speak anymore, as you can hear from the voice, so I can't lead walks and throw my voice because it doesn't throw anymore, and a variety of other nonsense like that. I'm extremely happy these days,
Right.
crazily enough, because I think that the only thing that there is in this world is love, and I don't know
Ooh.
how to get it except by going out and opening my big fat mouth whenever I see anybody, whether they want it or not. It's like if I see something to comment on, what a gorgeous dress, or the hair. Mine is, oh, well, I'm not on video now, am I? Suppose I should be on video. I have this hair, you see,
It's great.
that is
Beautiful
not.
hair.
So it's a topic for conversation. It doesn't matter. It could be a dog. I'm not a dog person, but it doesn't matter. There's a million ways. And I'll tell you, quite often, it's a younger person, certainly younger than me, almost everybody is. And they may not be particularly interested. They're on their walk. They're not interested in stopping and having a chat with me, but not infrequently. There's something that goes on, and we have what I bet there are other people in this room who experience that. I don't know what else to call it except every now and again you have a very short, maybe, but a real conversation as opposed to a chat conversation. One of the things that you say to one another is
Oh, like,
it means something to both of you. And that sometimes that's on a depressing day, that will be enough to change my whole day around. Right, I've said my piece. So
that's spectacular. I really appreciate that, Jenny. Thank you so much.
Jenny,
yeah,
are you the Jenny that likes to dance?
yes, indeed, John. Are you the John that likes to dance at the botanical gardens? Yes.
Oh, well, then I hope to see you
Oh, I
there.
didn't know your name was Clark, John.
Oh, I love it. Jenny who likes to dance. Rick, it looked
This
like you
is.
wanted to say something.
No, I didn't, but I've enjoyed the conversation from Jenny, and I think she raises some good points.
I do too. And so what's great, Jenny, it seems like you have more of an outgoing personality just from this. I'm like
Yeah.
that too, so I understand. And what's hard is getting people like us to make room for other people.
Yep.
And if we have that ability, knowing to help people who might be more introverted or need somebody else to reach out to be the friend and saying, hey, I like you. You don't have to be a social butterfly for us to hang out, but
Yeah.
using what we have and saying, how can we help the other people? Go ahead, Rick.
So in contrast to Jenny, I am a very strong introvert.
Ooh, I love it.
Probably the quality that is in which I'm strongest. So after my wife died, part of it was, okay, so what am I going to do? And I enjoy the backcountry, and I've done a lot of hiking. I've done a little bit of that. I do take daily walks. I gotten back to reading, but what I found is been very helpful is community service, which you mentioned earlier. And I've got 6 or 7 different organizations to which I belong, which are community service. And what I find is that I'm with a group of people with values similar to mine, enjoying giving back to the community. The conversations I have are not heavy, but we go kind of, from one to another to another. I'm, for example, in the food pantry at the Family Resource Center as one thing. And, over that 10, 15 minutes, we have some nice little conversations. Sometimes we have some value issues that, that slip through. Those are good. But I'm not feeling stuck, or I've got to make a conversation. And I don't like to feel that way. And so anyway, community service and just interacting with people. And as I said, people that, share similar values has been very rewarding for me.
That's a spectacular suggestion, Rick, because you're saying, hey, I'm setting myself up to feel comfortable and okay doing something I want, but not putting the social pressure on myself that actually makes me feel worse. That's an excellent idea. The piece that I think we're kind of getting into, you all were starting to talk about barriers. Oh, I love your cat, Rick.
My cat is relentless. I cannot work on my desk without the cat coming in to kind of
Well, I
oversee
mean,
and give corrections.
that's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do.
Anyway, and I don't mean to interfere here with your work. I hope
I just
please
love
ignore my
cats.
cat and the cat.
I can't. I won't. But anyway, barriers to connection as we age. You all were already bringing it up. The differences that happen when our mobility or our physical health stops us from being able to do things is huge. It's a number one for a lot of people. Ageism and marginalization based on our age, without people thinking or even knowing anything about us. They can see white hair or wrinkles and think, oh, I don't have to listen to you. You don't have anything for me. And I'll just put you in the corner. The jokes at the expense of being older. A lot of people report to me of feeling like they get treated like children again, and also saying, wow, I get treated like a child, but I wouldn't even treat a child the way I get treated, things like that. And people think that just because somebody ages, they don't have anything to contribute to society anymore. That ageism is really rampant. I'm sure many of you have experienced it, and I hope that there are some of you who haven't, but I'm willing to venture that many or all of you who are aging or solidly in the older adult category right now, you definitely have felt that. Loss, many of you have been saying, just like Rick was saying, and John, about you're losing those really important relationships, maybe to death, or actually even maybe to dementia or some other illness or disorder that makes the person that you love change into a person that's different. You still love them, but you're experiencing a loss. If anybody's ever interacted with people with dementia, that person changes and what you had with them changes. And so you're experiencing a loss while somebody's still alive. That's one of the trippiest feelings for people. And your role changes. Some of you were talking about how when that loved one's gone, wait, now I have to do all the tasks that they did. We didn't expect it. We have to start being the one that's filling that void and thinking, oh, I didn't realize how much of a partnership we had because they did all these things, I did all these things, and I don't really even know how to go about doing some of those things that that person who's now gone did. The physical changes, as we age, we're more likely to have increased medical issues and more medications. And a lot of times when we have more medication, we're more likely to have more side effects that can also increase our medical issues and our mobility issues. And then cognitive changes could also be a barrier. These are a lot of personal related barriers, but other systemic barriers are places are not all welcoming of older adults. Has anybody who is an older adult now gone into a place and felt unwelcome and thought it was related to their age? It's okay if you don't want to share. But that's something that we as community members have to take really seriously. And we as people who work in agencies, especially agencies that are supposed to be talking about supporting inclusivity and supporting people of all ages, of all cultures, things like that. If we're not the ones making a space feel comfortable for everybody to be in, we're doing something wrong. That's also a barrier. Places that aren't actually near where you can live, like if your mobility changes, if there aren't actual resources or places that make you feel welcome that are near you and able to get to, that's a huge deal, especially in Humboldt, and especially if you live in our more rural areas of our already rural county. Sometimes it feels really dire when things change. Maybe your mobility all of a sudden is completely different, and now you can't do any of the things that made you feel like you, like Patricia Ann, if you couldn't ride your bike all of a sudden, or that would just be a huge whew. people feel like they don't even want to try. Sometimes when those changes happen that are so big that make you feel like it's dire and it may feel futile, like, how can I even get out of this? The person I loved is gone. The things that I did, all my social connection that I had from working my job, I thought I was going to be happy when I retired, but actually I have no social connection anymore. That is a huge thing I hear, that people have been excited so long to retire, and then when they finally do, they actually are depressed because they're not interacting with anybody. Their identity, the thing that made them them, is often tied to their work. And so while it may feel difficult to make these changes, when you do at any age, no matter what age it is, that protective factor increases right away. It's just like if you stop smoking at any age, the health benefits are spectacular. So that's why doctors always encourage you, even if you smoked for 50 years, stop, try to stop. It's the same thing with social connection, role, identity, and purpose and meaning. Changes that make you feel better are protective at any age. And just because you're older and you think that it's not going to help, it shouldn't be the thing that blocks you. So here's just a few ways that people in the community, if you have, I want to encourage you, if you have any influence, any positionality, any associations at community spaces, including your neighborhood, even your own home, anything like that, think about ways that you can also foster inclusion and connection for others around you, because it's only going to benefit you as well. You can be selfish, right? It's great to help others because it also helps us. So reimagining our roles, like I guess Jenny is known as the dancer. So I don't think this will happen. I hope this doesn't happen, but imagine that you couldn't dance because your mobility changed. Or if it did, but dancing was so much a part of you. I've helped people learn how to feel like they're doing good dancing in their chair, you know? So how can you reimagine yourself to be you when these changes are actually occurring? We have to know that our value doesn't disappear just because we've had these changes. And these inclusive spaces, we're just one agency. And yeah, we're supposed to help people as they age, but we're moving towards supporting healthy aging across the entire lifespan. Aging is happening as soon as we are born. We are all aging. And so if we wait until we're 60, 70 to start thinking about that, we're actually doing ourselves and our loved ones a disservice. So thinking about how we can have more opportunities for older adults to interact with younger generations. Like I said, the Senior Resource Center in McKinleyville is doing a really good job. There's all of this information from other countries about co-locating preschools with senior centers because of the value that it has for everyone. I don't know if anybody's ever seen something like that. And the things that our community's doing, that space, Life Plan Humboldt, what they're trying to do, we are up creating spaces that not only are for us to live, but that are for us to have communities that are from all different generations, abilities, and things like that, so that we're going to improve our lives, our connectedness, and our health as we age. And today is a perfect example of leveraging technology. Not everybody has access or reliable access or the knowledge to use technology, but if you live in a rural place or your mobility changes or things like that that prevent you from actually physically going to a place to access something, technology is a huge bridge. And there are some people who just hate technology, and I wouldn't say use it if it's going to make you really upset. But obviously all of you today know how to use Zoom, and you're doing it. It's bringing us together to talk about something that's important, and it can connect people everywhere. And things that we can do individually, ask yourself today, what actually gives my life meaning right now? I am very guilty of getting caught up in the, oh, these are the tasks I have to do. I have to go to work. I have to do this. I have to go pick this up for my mom. I have to do this. And now it's already time to go to sleep. And we get like we're feeling on that conveyor belt. And I have to intentionally slow myself down. Even though I think about this stuff all day at work, I don't think about it for myself. I'm helping other people think about it. So I have to tell myself at least once a week, okay, am I having enough interactions that make me feel good? Am I checking in with myself? What gives me meaning right now? And for me, the meaning I get being in my band, doing my work, hanging out with my friends, and seeing my mom. I'm going to say it, I will say it forever. My mom's my favorite. And setting small goals, like what's one thing you can actually do that's realistic, right? Obviously, if we want to say, I want to have a whole brand new volunteer thing and make 10 new friends, that's kind of a big that's a big goal. Set one small step. Like anybody out there have an example of what they're going to try to do for themselves or what you've been thinking?
I think there are things we're already doing that everybody could indicate. I have a friend who can no longer go out easily, so we bring people in to her to play
Perfect.
games.
Love
Whether
it.
it's bridge or uh, Rumicube or checkers or whatever have you. I mean, if you're not mobile or your friend isn't mobile, you can bring people in. There are book
Mhm.
groups that can be had. There are
Love
all
that.
kinds of interactive things that can happen. You can have picnics. I mean, during COVID, we had our neighborhood get-togethers outside in the driveway.
You guys are creative.
Well, I mean, it's not hard.
So Jane, I love how I said, what's a small step for you? And your steps were about making sure other people were included. And I think that's really beautiful that that's the first thing that came out of your mouth. It wasn't about what you wanted to do for yourself. It was, how do I keep including other people when things change for them? And that, I mean, that speaks
It
to you as a
also is
person.
beneficial for me.
Yes, it is definitely.
It gives me agency to make things better
Hmm.
for other people, but also for myself.
Right. Well,
It's
and
part of a purpose.
exactly. A lot of people, if there's specific cultures that focus on that and certain religions or people who are raised with religion, a lot of times that's what I was taught at church and within my family about when you're feeling bad, you need to go help your community. You need to help other people because that's how you're going to feel better. Not to the point where you're feeling like I only put other people before myself, but giving back, interacting with other people, and finding your place. It was talking about community. When you're feeling like everything is wrong, community is the answer. It was Audre Lorde. I think her quote was something like, um, without community, there's no liberation. And I really feel that. I really feel that without community, we're not going to feel the best that we can. We're not going to be ourselves and we're not going to be able to support each other. So staying socially active in a way that is true to who you are. Like Rick was saying, I'm not going to go start dancing and maybe being like, I'm going to go find a bunch of friends and all of a sudden be social. I'm going to find places that match my values where I can set myself up to do something that makes me feel good, but I don't have to have weird, awkward small talk. I don't have to have, all this pressure of people looking at me. So a way that is true to who you are. I love a good introvert. I am told by many of my friends that I am their emotional support extrovert, if anybody's ever heard of that. So being able to learn and do something different outside your box is also really fun. For me, learning to be quiet and learning to uh, let other people lead, that has been spectacular for me. It's very hard because I'm not naturally like that, but pushing myself outside of my box to stay socially active and engaged in a different way has made me feel even better about myself and have deeper connections with people. Another place is if there's ever a chance to tell your story. I like what Jenny was saying when she could talk to somebody on the street and say, I like your dress, or they would comment on her long hair. Sharing any bit of your story, which means about you, your life, who you are. We're creating legacy and we're deepening understanding with each other. So I had they used to do classroom grandparents. I went to McKinleyville schools and we had a classroom grandma. She was actually one of the kids' real grandmas, but she said she was all of our grandma. We called her Grandma Pat. And she told us stories about her life, different times in history, And I was maybe 7, and I still remember thinking, wow, she's so cool. I want to grow up to be like her. I want to have a life like her. Or, so what that does is it helps the people that you're telling your story to reduce their negative thoughts about what it means to age. It reduces stigma. It helps everybody think about the future, and it reduces all that kind of stuff that we think, those stereotypes that have been put in our head about what it means to age and what older people are like. I still find myself having to correct my biases and thinking, oh, all older adults are like this, or all older adults are like that. And this is the work I do because it's so deeply ingrained from when we're little in our society about what it means to age and who has value, right? You can look at a newsstand and see youth, 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 youth everywhere. And we can tell that our society really values youth. Think about, I went to an aging conference. This was so terrible. I went to an American Society on Aging conference. It was huge. And vendors were setting up, they came there on purpose to set up anti-aging formulas of stuff and try to sell it because we were at an aging conference. So just stuff like that. What does that tell you? They thought that everybody there was going to want to be younger because we were talking about aging. Things like that just blow my mind. Looking for a role is a step we can take today. Helping somebody in need or giving back to your community. There's tons of family resource centers that are in many of our towns that I think take volunteers. We're working on building up our volunteer program in our whole agency right now and working about how can we engage other agencies or even schools so we can have a bigger connection and give more people opportunities for roles that aren't necessarily like work, but feel good. A lot of people want to go back to work because they're bored. They want a job. So if you're looking for a job and that's something you want to do that. I cannot wait to retire, but I bet when I retire, I will probably feel like I want to go back to work. So a lot of times I've been talking this whole day about family and intergenerational responses. So if you are lucky enough to have family near you or a family that interacts, not everybody has that, and that's not everybody's value. But we can see a lot in the evidence about multi and intergenerational bonds, families that grandparents help with child rearing or the kids help with care of people whose mobility have changed. There is a huge, huge gain for everybody in that. I think we're getting some chats. Let's see. Intergenerational relationships increase social interaction and reduce loneliness. It's a win-win. You are right, Tammy. You are right. Because what it does is it shows, have you ever met little kids that seem scared of older adults? They seem like they don't want to talk to them and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. And a lot of times it's because they've never seen older adults, their grandparents aren't around. I want to reduce that. I want to reduce that response and have it be known that anybody at any age can interact with each other. My mom said it's her goal to have a family compound where everybody lives on it. I think my husband's probably not really into that idea, but I kind of am. Invite, if you are an older adult or if you are a person who's in a different generation, invite an older adult to tell their story and actually listen. You will learn so much. And as an older adult, being willing to share and being brave enough and vulnerable enough to share some part of your story with people, I really challenge you to try to do that because passing on wisdom or anything, any of your knowledge that you've had, because people as we live, we're going to have that opportunity to learn so much our whole lives. And if we can't pass it on to other people, it's just kind of a waste. And we can co-create with each other. Doing all these things makes meaning across generations. And then we're not just contributing to an individualistic society. Yes, I know where we live. And yeah, there are a lot of things I don't like about the United States, but I'm still pretty glad to live here. And I'm really glad to have the opportunity to find people that are different than myself, whether it's age, whether it's culture, whether it's gender, because I learn more and I become a better person and I become a happier person because I'm not just stuck in my own little void looking at the same stuff over and over again.
Perhaps you could create an elder group, elder storytelling group.
Yeah, so
Actually have someone who's interviewing them, like from Cal Poly,
yes,
the Soc department, doing elder history, elder wisdom group.
yeah, I think where are you? Where are you? You know I'm gonna talk to you. There you are. I'm sorry. Um, oh my God, I'm messing this up. Linda, if you want to unmute and let your partner, do you want to talk for us?
Jamie.
Yes, Jamie. God, I know your name. God, I've known your name I was like,
No
Jamie.
worries, Sam.
This is Dr. Jamie Jensen from Cal Poly Social Work, who does a ton of stuff like this. Can you share a little bit about the projects you're doing, if you wouldn't mind?
I mean, actually, as you were talking about this, I saw your slide and I'm covertly attending today with my mother-in-law, Linda. So thank you for letting me crash this. I love this topic. You know, I do.
I
Sam.
know. I was like, oh, Jamie's here. I want her to talk right now. She's doing
Yeah.
spectacular stuff.
I'm actually super interested in, well, there's two things. I'm actually looking to engage folks, and I'll be reaching out through OLLI and asking them to like send out to listservs around the picking up where we left off of maybe a year or two ago about creating Cal Poly or getting Cal Poly Humboldt to have an aging friendly university designation.
Woo!
So there's that piece. I'm developing a gerontology program, an online gerontology program. So I'll be looking to like engage people in having conversations. What do you think gerontologists need to know about Humboldt County and what it means to age here? But when you put when I saw your slide that said something about share your story, it's like, oh, I want to do a group where we get together and write our life stories. So I'm going to be reaching out about that. If anyone's interested,
I would
let
love
me
to
know.
do that.
How do we get in touch with you?
I'm going to put my email in here. I'm actually on sabbatical this year. So, but I'm going to still put my email in here.
Because she's doing work at the state level on
I still check
aging.
it. Yeah, I'm actually folks don't know, I'm on the California Commission on Aging as well.
She got appointed by the governor, everybody.
I did. Thanks, Sam. Talk about embarrassing. Also
I
want to
love
say hi to
embarrassing other people. Yeah,
also want to
spectacular.
embarrass Rick and say hi, Rick. Nice to see you.
You should definitely
So email me if you're interested and
definitely
about getting involved in any of the projects, and I will be in touch real soon.
Jamie is spectacular. She was my professor in my MSW. So, 20-year-old me going dirt and listening to her and learning about aging. She was one of the people who imprinted on me right then about working in aging. And she was literally the only one talking about aging that whole program. I literally do not remember anybody talking about aging except Jamie.
Unfortunately, it's probably still the same. But my voice is getting louder, so.
Good. I'll scream with you too. I'm loud. But we also, we're hoping to get some more kind of groups off. We did this one group kind of at the tail end of 2023, 24, I can't remember, but we got this money from a nutrition fund from the Older Americans Act to do something that had intergenerational connection, but that was in the nutrition vein. And so our director of nutrition, Tasha, got me this free money that they were like, we have all this money from COVID that we need to do things with. And she said, hey, you have an intergenerational group, don't you? And I said, yeah. So we piloted, we're hoping to do it again, but you know how time goes. We did an intergenerational group that had storytelling pieces. So half of the people were under 40 and half of the people were over 60. And including our facilitators, myself and one of my behavioral health clinicians, we were also in that group. I was in the under 40 and she's over 60. And so we did co-facilitation where we were, because it was nutrition funds, we all got to have a meal at the beginning, which was really killer. So what's one way to build community across all cultures, across all generations? It's food. food is one of the biggest connectors for people, having a meal. So we got to do that where we did about 15 weeks, which was kind of long. I was thinking we should probably do 10, but we worked on doing digital storytelling. We had all these iPads where people were helping each other pick a really great moment in their life that they wanted to share with people and make it into a digital story. And we also, there was elements of reminiscence because of that, and cognitive behavioral kind of techniques where people could learn to regulate. So it was a bit of a blend. It was pretty cool. People reported decreased symptoms of depression, anxiety, and also reported increased generational understanding. So we were trying to look at this as a different option than, I don't know if any of you have felt depressed or felt anxious, and maybe you go to your doctor and they say, okay, here's a pill, or here is a referral for individual therapy. And that's typically what happens. That's typically what's available. And we were thinking we wanted to do something different than what's typically offered, because yeah, individual therapy can help people do a lot. And yeah, I'm a therapist and I do promote therapy, but individual therapy is not the answer for everybody. It's a band-aid a lot of the times, and medication is great if you need it and it helps who it helps. I've taken medication myself and it has helped me. But community is the answer for for every ailment. I swear. It's in every country's records, all the cultures, all the evidence shows that community and intergenerational interactions is going to be something that's going to have an even greater effect. So when you pair it with all those other things, we thought it was a win-win. We're hoping to maybe do it again next year, but we're also trying to have a group that anybody can come to that's about joy as an act of resilience. Joy is the path to resilience. If anybody's ever been involved in therapy or anything therapeutic, a lot of times it's focused on reducing something that we don't want, like, oh, I want to be less depressed, but it's not focused on increasing something that we do want, like joy. And there's scientific evidence about the feelings of joy and experiencing joy with other people, how it literally improves things in your brain and your body. And that's spectacular, because who does not want to feel joy?
I also think it's useful to think about the concept of having a multitude of communities. I have a
Yes.
Pilates community, I have a bridge community, I have an OLLI community. I have a group that meets together as a salon. There's a group of us that go beach walking. There's a whole neighborhood community across the street, down the street. I mean, the more communities you have and the broader group of people you can include in them, the better.
Well, and I don't know if I agree. Oh, go ahead, Rick. Thank you, Jane. Go
No,
ahead,
you
Rick.
go ahead and finish up and I'll come in.
I was going to say, since I have a social work background, and anybody who's ever heard this, you heard the concept of what's called self-care, and the way it kind of got twisted to be like, everybody needs to do these individual things, like I'm going to take a bath and I'm going to go buy myself some shoes, or I need to do the self-care for me. And it's all about an individual thing. The concept of that word self-care actually came from about being able to be there for your community and with your community, and that you needed to take care of yourself so that you could keep doing things like that. And it wasn't individualistic, it was actually very collectivistic. So self-care, the self isn't just you, the self is your community. The self, I don't like to say self-care anymore because it got so taken over. I like to say wellness practice or something like that, but that's even not it. So I just stick with community. And I'm blanking on the person's name who invented that kind of self-care, but Jamie, you probably know. But it was a kind of like a woman activist who was a woman of color, talking about how we needed to care for ourselves in order to care for community, and it just got taken way out of context and moved to I went to a training that was a training about crisis response in schools when I used to work in schools, and the guy who was facilitating it told us all to do self-care and that the women should go buy shoes because that was going to make them feel better. So go ahead, go ahead, Jamie.
I was just going to say you're a big fan of Audre Lorde because that's who it was.
Oh, see, I am. I'm all about her today. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, great. So this is the last thing, and then Rick, actually, I would like to hear what you have to say before I do this, Rick.
We're really well past it, but you had raised the topic of positive psychology, which really just began a number of years ago. And I just want to, emphasize how much benefit that whole program is. It's psychology, not just to deal with problems, but psychology for becoming more whole and healthy human beings. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of reiterate. I thought you raised a good point, and I didn't. I just wanted to give it a little nudge along with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we've been thinking about it a lot. Is that we have a pretty robust internship program in our agency, whether they're doing general social work, medical social work, or clinical social work. And when I do supervision for interns and people who are working toward getting their like LCSW or their LMFT. And when we're talking about it, schools often tell you you need to talk about reducing something. And that's basically it. You need to have a treatment plan where you're reducing something. Maybe they'll mention maintaining something, maybe, but they don't really emphasize a lot of the time increasing something positive. And it just makes such a huge difference when you're thinking about strengths-based work. If you increase something that's positive and wonderful, that addresses those other things that we want to reduce. So it's just a win-win-win. And if we can do a few things today, I want you to think about, where do you feel connection now? Where would you like to feel connection? What kind of things give you purpose? What things help you make meaning? If we ask ourselves those questions and the people around us those questions regularly, we can start to think we're not going to fall through the cracks. We're going to find things that still make us feel like us, and we can find that community, give to our community, and be part of that community. So if you can today think of one small way to move forward with increasing your present connections, deepening a connection, doing something that makes you feel like you, I want you to please do that, and then share. Encourage others around you to do the same. And that could be through storytelling. That could be through calling our agency, calling the schools and saying, you know what, things need to be more age friendly. If you ever see surveys through Humboldt Senior Resource Center or Area 1 Agency on Aging about what do people aging in Humboldt need, I really encourage you to take those, because we're doing that to actually listen to what people in our community want. We're trying to make sure we're responding in a way that's actually what people want. Go ahead, Rick.
I feel embarrassed because I'm starting to just talk and talk and talk.
No, I love it, you introvert. Go you.
One of the things that I did is that I read an article by a hospice person who talked about end of life, and the question was, well, do you have good resolutions? And so at the end of life, and she said, at the end of life, for most people, it's kind of crazy. You're in a hospital setting, you've got stuff going on. If you want to say something to the people who are important to you, say it now. And I thought about that. And what I then did was to write each of my 5 children an end of life letter. And I kind of put it in that context. And I just said, I had seen an interview from a hospice worker. And if you were to say something, there were things you wanted to talk about, you should do it now. And I just said, even though I still feel good, I think this is a good opportunity for me to really talk to you about some of the important things that cross my mind when I think about you as I'm approaching the end of life. And generally, it was a very good response from my children on that.
I love that. That's spectacular.
And it's really true, because at the end of life, many people aren't able to talk for one reason or another, whether they're getting oxygen or however the situation is. So it's like, talk about what you want to talk about now, before that communication becomes impossible, whether they have a stroke or a heart attack or COVID or whatever have you. Because many people lose loved ones without the opportunity to have those conversations.
Right. That's wonderful. I think, you are all a very engaging group that obviously is already thinking about these things, but this is my wrap up slide, where just things to remember, that it's not selfish. It's not an extra to put connection and purpose and meaning first. It's actually essential to feel thriving, not just survive, to thrive in a life that makes you feel good, that keeps up your health, and that purpose and meaning look different for everyone. Just because your one friend is doing this doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It can be a jumping point, you know, to say, wait, what are people that are like me doing? What do they like? That might be a really good way to start, because a lot of people aren't thinking about what's meaningful to them. And when they start, they think, oh, I don't even know how to go about this. So somebody who's around you, you know, you can say, what do you do? And sharing those conversations. And all these things we're talking about, small actions really do create big ripples. I know that sounds really Pollyanna-y, but it's really true. And our communities thrive when everyone is seen, heard, and valued. So like I said, if you have any positionality or influence in any space, I encourage you to really use it, to use that voice if you're a person who feels okay doing that, or use your skills to make community spaces inclusive, whether that's for aging people, whether that's for people with disabilities, different genders, anything. Inclusivity is going to create belonging, and belonging creates community. And it's never, 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 ever too late to develop new connections or purpose or meaning. Never. It may feel hard, it may feel tricky, it may feel icky, but it's never too late, and it can improve your life vastly and almost instantly. So if anybody wants my email, it's right here, but I will put it in the chat so people can copy and paste. I would love to hear from any of you anytime. We would love to have any of you come to any of our centers, know about our services. We're working on trying to increase services that aren't just for people who have specific insurance. We're trying to really expand what we can do, and we want to do things that the community actually wants. So we would love to hear from you. sday at Hum Senior. I'm writing it down. Like, I mean, we got to have some storytelling. That's just the best part. And if I think we're right on time, but if anybody has any last questions, I would love to hear them.
Well, then I want to say thank you ever so much and invite everyone to join OLLI, because we are one of those ways of having a
Yes.
community. We are a community. And obviously there are many aspects of it that don't cost you anything. If it costs a whole $35 a year to join OLLI, and we need you.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. You can participate in the brown bag lunch talks at no charge. You can participate in the Friday talks with Tracy Barnes Priestley. That's a little community of its own, but it's open to new people. And there are many, many ways. There are committees you can help with. You can volunteer to be on the curriculum committee meeting, but we'd love to see you join us in the fall for the fall sessions. Our first talk is on September 15th, but our September 6th is the day of our get-together. And we hope to see you there and hope this is helpful for you all.
Thank you all. You're wonderful. And I look forward to seeing some of you in the community, and email me.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I'm closing down the Zoom now, unless anyone has any last minute comments or considerations. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Jane, for leading this conversation. And yeah, thank you guys very much.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Go out in the sunshine.
Put on sunscreen if you do. Okay, that's all I have to
Well,
say.
no, you need the sun, at least 20 minutes a
Sunscreen.
day. Get your vitamin D.
This is true.
After that, you can put on your sunscreen,
Okay.
your hat.